All right, y'all. Good evening. It's 7:51, August 4th of 2024, and I got another story for y'all. Basically, it's pretty much about um, Kamala Harris. So she has six candidates that are running for vice president, and pretty much she's going to interview them. And again, you gotta remember that these candidates they're from they're from different states. And you gotta also remember that Kamala Harris is from California. You gotta remember that Joe Biden is from Pennsylvania. And as Joe Biden endorsed Kamala Harris, um, you gotta also remember that he dropped out of the re-election race on July 21st. So as all of these candidates are running for VP, for vice president, there's a lot of different teams, moving around throughout the states, supporting, different sides. Um, one of the one of the vice president's candidates that is running for election is actually the Democratic representative from Arizona, and there's some other ones from other states, and a lot of them don't want to. So the person, the source that pretty much name dropped these candidates did not want to give the name or the names because basically there was some negotiations still happening that they didn't want a name to go by and affect the negotiations. But that's happening. The six candidates that are running for VP are happening. On the other hand, this second story, you have Republicans switching sides, and instead of endorsing Trump, switching sides to endorse Kamala Harris. And basically, the reason behind it is pretty much based on the values that they have when it comes to politics and many other different areas of their life. So again, you got to remember that part. And it's a tight race when it comes to the polls right now. The surveys that are being done, they're pretty close, but you gotta also note that ever since Kamala Harris decided to run for presidency, she has raised about $350 million so far. And that's, based on new voters and people that chose to endorse her. So about the people that switch sides, from Republicans, they're still Republicans, right? But they chose to, as a Republican, they chose to endorse Kamala Harris. You also got to remember that those people that chose to endorse Kamala Harris, they're going to be responsible for a lot of things, okay? And you're going to have some of the people behind Trump, following their story and saying things, So there's going to be pretty much consequences as far as to them, they making the decision of becoming, an endorser of a Democratic candidate. And pretty much that's the second story. Anyways, give me a follow, and of course also like the video and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to comment below. Tell me what you think. And of course, also, you got to remember that, it's never too late. So basically, in the third story, this is from one of the employees who works at the columnist, who works at the Washington Post. And the source is pretty much money-wise, is being criticized for buying a property. They bought the property as a couple, and of course she's being criticized because they bought it on a 30-year plan, and basically what happens is that they chose to refinance and pay the property off in 15 years, but they're being criticized because they chose to pay the property, the house, in 7 years. Okay, so pretty much they're being criticized because a lot of the people that are critiquing this action are saying, how come not invest the money, instead of, paying the house off? You could just do, as the person who wrote this called it, ultra low income payments, and pay it off in the 15 years or in 30 years, however you want to call it. But they're criticizing them for not investing money into something. And again, from the couple's perspective, they said, they wanted to get freedom. So pretty much, pay off the house and feel some sort of freedom. And that's what they did. And, that's pretty much what a lot of people want to do, have the house paid off. But again, comment below, tell me what you think, and give it a like. Like the video. Again, remember these, back to the elections. These elections that are happening, there's multiple ways that they can, they can go both ways. You got to remember, President Joe Biden, he's from Pennsylvania. You got to remember, Kamala Harris is from California, and you got to remember that former President Trump, he's from New York. So these are the battlegrounds. Pennsylvania, New York, and California. You can take a look a little bit, if we backtrack a little bit. Basically, when Joe Biden was running for president, they did a really cool video of his story, pretty much where he grew up, where he went to high school, a lot of his early years as a child, and then some of his accomplishments. They did a really good video on it. They did a lot of interviews to sidetrack and support, Joe Biden when he was running against Trump. And now that you go back and see that, update, Kamala Harris is running for president. What did she have, instead of instead of a promotional video, she had something different. She had a slideshow. So if you're taking a look at Kamala Harris of where she's coming from, you know, President Joe Biden, he had a very lucrative deal with the video, really good promotional video, versus Kamala Harris, you know, she just gets a slideshow. But you got to remember something. She just gets a slideshow, and she gets to run late in the race. And not just that, she gets a vice presidential experience and a chance to run for president. And basically, with about 100 days left in the race. So you gotta remember the timeline of how this works, and basically know that basically it's gonna be a tough race. You know, it's not just gonna be, oh, I'm gonna vote for Kamala Harris, or I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump. Another thing that you have to note is that in the first presidential election, when President Trump, former President Trump, decided to run for presidency, you got to remember it was Donald J. Trump. Now, if you look at, well, it was Donald J. Trump Pence, something like that. Now it's Donald J. Trump Vance with a V. So it changed from a P to a V. So again, if that means anything to you, you know, wake up. Pretty much, it's one of those things that you have to really look into. And I'm gonna leave it there. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and then comment below what you think. Let me know what you think, and of course, it's until next time.